Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to the Muslima podcast. This is your host. Sorry this episode was a little bit delayed. I did lose my voice, but alhamdulillah I'm back. And today's episode is going to be about quitting music. And I'm not just talking about quitting in Ramadan. I'm talking about just dropping the habit permanently. Music is something that so many Muslims struggle with. And this is because it's quite literally an addiction. Like, you might be like, that's a bit too much, but no, it's not. So many people rely on music to just, distract themselves from reality. Like, I see people, they get home from work or school, and they just lay in bed for hours, and all they do is just listen to music. And there's people who are like, if I have to give up music and stop listening to music, what is there left for me? What am I going to do to get away from my problems? And for some people, this addiction is harder to give up than others. For some people, it's not even an addiction, sometimes it's just busy work, like to keep them busy while doing homework or cleaning their room. But there's others who just have music in their ears 24/7. Like, it's just something that they rely on now, where they can't do anything without music. And honestly, I'm not even blaming them because it's pretty hard, especially now in this day and age, where music is just a part of everything and it's found everywhere. It's unavoidable. Like, it's on your phone, whether it's social media, whether you're having conversations with friends, it gets brought up, recommendations, whether even when you're shopping, you go to a public place to get stuff and you're just bombarded with music. Although we can't control what's happening in our surroundings, one thing we can control is ourselves. And alhamdulillah, Ramadan teaches us that we have that. We have self-control. We can stop ourselves from eating and drinking for a whole day. We can stop ourselves from gossiping and cursing for a whole day. We can do it. We just have to practice and implement that self-control into other aspects of our life and keep it consistent past just the month of Ramadan. Now, going into why music is haram, what makes music haram? And I've watched a lot of YouTube videos, I've read a lot of articles, talking about how music is up for debate in Islam, how, it doesn't specifically say that listening to music is haram. And I've seen a lot of people use this as an excuse, it's like, it doesn't say anywhere in the Quran that I shouldn't listen to music. That's right, but if the music that you're talking about is the music of today, the famous artists of today, Beyonce, Cardi B, Drake, etc., that music is not up for debate. That music is haram, period. And it isn't even, the talk of the instruments that are used in that song. It's just the lyrics in themselves. The lyrics go against the teachings of Islam, and that's found in the Quran. In Surah An-Naba, verse 35, it says, "Never to hear any idle talk or lying therein." And in this ayah, idle talk is referring to irrelevant or useless talk, or talk that doesn't benefit you. And we can easily connect this back to music. And another thing that makes music haram is that when you listen to this, idle talk or this foul language, one thing about music is that it's very catchy and it's going to get stuck in your head. It could be very distracting when it comes to prayer or reading Quran, especially in Ramadan when you're standing for long periods of time in Taraweeh. And you're just gonna have this song, playing over and over in your head. And this can become especially dangerous when it comes to memorizing or reading the Quran. Because not only are you having this song playing over and over in your head, but would it make sense to read a verse prohibiting a sin and committing that sin afterwards? Music is just one of the many things you can listen to. There's a whole list, and I have a few, so I'm going to share some with you guys. So the first thing I have on here is Quran. And Quran is the best thing you can listen to. If you're trying to memorize a few verses, put in your headphones and replay those verses over and over again. Cooking, cleaning, doing your homework, it could be a form of ibadah because you're incorporating Quran into it. Another thing is, of course, this is the obvious one, nasheeds. And nasheeds with vocals only and no music. These are the best substitute for music. If you're someone who likes music and relies on it a lot, this is the best alternative to just, swap out, your songs for nasheeds and just slowly do this and build it up. And before you know it, you're going to completely stop the habit of music. The third thing is, of course, podcasts, just like this one. I love podcasts. Every time, I'm doing my homework, I'm cleaning my room, I always have a podcast on. Even an Islamic lecture on YouTube, both of them work. And, instead of quote unquote idle talk, that was mentioned before, this is something you can actually benefit from and learn from. And while you're doing something, you can just have it in your headphones and you could learn a few things and change your habits and just become a better person. Similar to podcasts, there are also audiobooks, and these are also another nice alternative because if you have a book that you're trying to catch up on, but you have a bunch of stuff to do, just put on some headphones and listen to your book while you do, whatever it is that you want to get done. Lastly, out of my recommendations, I have white noise or nature sounds. And as boring as it may seem, these are one of my favorites to listen to because as someone who gets distracted easily if I'm listening to, nasheeds doing my homework, I like to just put on white noise because it's just blank and it helps me focus and it just feels like I'm in my own bubble and it helps me be way more productive. Now, taking all these alternatives into consideration when you're trying to quit music, now all that is left is to just take it step by step. Recognize where you are with music. You go a day or two without it, and if you're someone who relies more on it, slowly just start replacing music with vocals. Don't rush yourself, and don't make it something just all at once, because that's gonna cause you to crave it even more and miss it, and you're gonna slowly start going back into your old habits. Now, for what's about to be said, I want you guys to really listen, because if you're gonna get anything from this episode, I want it to be what I'm about to say. Now, the bottom line is that giving up music is hard, whether you're reliant on it or not. But that's what this dunya is supposed to be. It's a test, a beautiful lie as some call it. It creates all these seemingly beautiful desires that you want to chase, but they're never going to fulfill that emptiness. They're never going to be enough. You're going to keep chasing something that doesn't exist. And that's success without iman billah. You might see people, atheists who say, well, hey, I don't believe in God and look where I'm at. I have this and this But do you really have anything if you don't have Allah on your side? The creator of everything, the all-knowing, all-seeing, all-hearing, the most forgiving, the most merciful, capable of everything and anything. Who are you to think you're going to succeed without the help of Allah? Who do you think you are? You might be seen as successful in this dunya, but are you really successful if you haven't secured your akhirah? You might be bragging about your new cars, new house, all these worldly desires, but will you be that proud in your book of deeds? فَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ فَيَقُولُ هَاؤُمُ اقْرَءُوا كِتَابِيَهْ. So as for he who is given his record in his right hand, he will say, here, read my record. Or are you going to be of the ones who are ashamed because you valued the temporary pleasures of this dunya over what really mattered? Now, going back to my main point, after hearing what I just said, is listening to the new album or going to that concert really worth it? Is that something you're going to thank yourself for once you're handed your book of deeds? Think about that next time, because wallahi, it really changed the way I saw most of these wants and desires of this life. And inshallah, that is all for today's episode. I really hope you guys take this advice and it helps you guys just as much as it helped me. Follow my Instagram at themuslima.pc, where you guys can recommend topics for future episodes, and my DMs are always open if you need any sort of advice. With that, I'll see you guys in the next episode, inshallah.